Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Łukasz Cioch, and today I will share with you a couple of interesting stories, facts, and statistics. I will focus on the experience of Kraków as one of the most popular tourist destinations worldwide, also one of the two first cities globally to be inscribed on the UNESCO World Heritage List. In the last 2 quarters, the entire event world has experimented a lot to come out of the difficulties, to find creative new ways when the world went into lockdown. And in the end, for lack of a better choice, it has largely migrated from the physical spaces of conference centers to virtual online realities. They say a picture is worth 1,000 words. So let's start with that and jump right in. This is the Krakow's mound in Kraków, one of the 3 most popular mounds and possibly the oldest mound in Kraków, a popular scenic point, the place where people climb and go to admire the old town area, especially at sunset. It's a breathtaking climb, I can tell you, because even though the mound itself is 16 meters tall, the hill you need to climb to see the mound is much taller than that. It's one of those few places in Kraków where social distancing comes naturally. Whether it's 2010, 2015, or 2019, this is how people sit there. There is a popular city run organized starting from this very mound and going to 2 other mounds, 13-kilometer distance. Very interestingly, it's also situated very close to a site where over 26 years ago, Steven Spielberg directed one of the most important films ever made. After the lockdown in March and April, the city has more or less come back to normal when it comes to socializing and networking in the city area. As I mentioned, it's very difficult to stop everyone from enjoying the old town area in Kraków. So as you can see, people everywhere in the city throughout the summer season, this in 2020. This is one of the central streets in Kraków, Grodzka Street, early evening hours. And some romanticism has also come back to the city, as you can see, with a man proposing to a woman right in the middle of the market square this summer. I believe it was September. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the picture of the city, the architecture and the landscape. You can see how many bridges Kraków has crossing from the Podgórze district to the Kazimierz former Jewish quarters historically, and Old Town area with the Wawel Royal Castle to my left, and right behind it, the historical city center of Kraków. Without becoming too sentimental about the events of the past, there were so many of them. Statistically speaking, this center in the period of 5 years has been visited by over 200,000 people at various events, congresses, fashion shows, conferences, industry conferences, all kinds of events. This particular photo comes from the 41st World Congress of UNESCO. And this is a list of events organized in this center, the most important, the biggest ones, since 2017 alone. So you can see it's an impressive list. If you read it more carefully, you will see these are mostly international large conference formats. It's the city of festivals, over 50 international festivals, in fact, over 100 festivals in total. So every second day, every third day in Kraków, there is some kind of festival. It's very easy to get lost in how many there are in a pre-pandemic period, of course. And then came March and April 2020. The city became empty for a short period of time. After that, tourists and locals started enjoying the city again. This is the view of one of the central city streets. To be fair, it's been photographed with a telephoto zoom, so it's a parallax effect, which means that you see more people than there actually are. The distance is quite long, so in fact there was more distance between those people than it seems. all kinds of businesses and institutions needed a while to get used to how they should respond, to understand the real threat and what kind of scenarios they should come up with to not only survive, but sustain their business, in some cases improve the operations of their businesses. Virtual events versus real life events. Initially, when the first big event organizers started migrating online, they instinctively tried to replicate the exact copy of their offline format to online reality. It's been 8 months since people have tried that. It doesn't exactly work for a lot of legitimate reasons, as we know. So the event industry has learned a lot since that period. And recently, Kraków has developed a number of digital solutions as a response to the ongoing needs and requirements. One of them, one of the most notable ones perhaps, is Play Kraków, a digital platform aimed at making culture more accessible. How it works is not only the current events that cannot be staged with a full audience setting are sent directly to this platform. Some concerts, some interesting culture-focused discussions, some concerts from the past, which were replayed and presented to the audience again after months and years sometimes. And it turns out that the archives of the institutions who have been delivering concerts year after year have a lot of valuable content that audiences have enjoyed since the lockdown. An example of statistical data of one of the most popular festivals here in Kraków, Film Music Festival, this year in its 13th edition. 13 has not proved a lucky number for the festival, but still, if you look at the statistics, 35,000 people attending the various event formats during the Film Music Festival back during the 10th edition, and during the 11th edition, 30,000, and 40,000 during the 12th edition. 13th edition this year had to migrate online, but it proved to be a very successful event, not only because of very intimate artistic performances, performance formats called live from studio, with artists recording and delivering 30-minute performances from their homes, which audiences really enjoyed, in addition to large-scale concerts replayed from the past editions. Now, I promised you at the beginning that we would have at least one interesting case study to focus on. The Congress of the Polish Cardiac Society in its 24th edition. 6 days before it was scheduled to start, and it was originally scheduled to take place between 16th and 19th of September 2020, the organizers discovered that due to a change in legislation, COVID-19 legislation, it was no longer possible to organize it in an offline conference center format. Of course, they had planned for 3 different possibilities. One would be that they would stage it in a real-life environment. The second one would be a hybrid solution, like many event organizers did it. Hybrid solution meaning keynote speakers would come to a physical location to deliver speeches, and the audiences would largely enjoy the conference, learn from the conference online. Eventually, they had to go for the third option, which is go completely online. What it means in terms of logistics and preparations, especially if you have only 6 days left, is you have to contact all the 300 keynote speakers, as was the case in this conference. You have to call them, you have to go through slides of their individual presentations to make sure everything works. You have to test the connection if it's stable. And eventually the conclusions after this very successful event was that there was a lot of learning involved, taking into account the advantages of an online reality, with nearly 20,000 people visiting the conference webpage. And out of those 20,000 people visiting the webpage, 5% came from 44 different countries. Over the last few months, there is a long list of events that have taken place at this very stage alone. CyberSec 2020 edition was one of them, a very successful event with 2,500 attendees from 100 countries. In total, 122 speakers, cybersecurity experts, government representatives, European Commission, NATO, ministers and officials. The list of events includes Meetings Week Poland, LNE Congress and Cosmetic Industry Fair with 1,500 participants, MP Power Night, ABSL Digital Forum Business Resilience in the Face of Crisis, Kraków Network, Digital Dragons, Kraków Fashion Week 2020, the Reimagining Events webinar back in July 2020, and today's event. Allow me to focus for a brief moment on a rundown on key facts and statistics from the city to better understand what makes the city perhaps a little more resilient. Kraków is the city of heritage and culture, is the city of tourism, congresses and conferences, festivals, business activity, creative activity, pilgrimages, sports, universities, greenery, innovations, international cuisine. Some key facts: 150 direct flights as of February 2020. Will need to wait a while for that figure to come back to its status from February 2020. State-of-the-art event venues: ICE Kraków Congress Centre, EXPO Krakow, TAURON Kraków is the city of culture, full of international festivals, global industry fairs and congresses. With a unique event ambience, the beautiful thing about this city from everyone's perspective, I dare say, is that everything is within walking distance in Kraków. 23 universities, 160,000 students from all over the world. 170 hotels, 11,000 rooms, 20,000 beds. Strong cooperation internationally, largely coordinated by Kraków Convention Bureau. 790 restaurants and cafes in city center. Membership in a long list of international organizations and partnerships. And the Małopolska region, in its own right, a very attractive part of Poland, close to the mountains, very picturesque, very popular among tourists. UNESCO World Heritage Site since 1978, as mentioned earlier. 23 universities, 100 science research units, 53 Congress ambassadors. Kraków has an old town area university, historical one. It's one of the oldest universities in Europe, but it also has a brand new campus, university campus, right in the middle of this photograph. International business hub, over 170 international companies have operations in Kraków, especially in IT and business services. Almost 100,000 employees in Kraków alone. And 1.2 million square meters of modern office space. In effect, making it the #1 city in Europe for IT and business services. This is the graph, the curve showing you the growth of employment in Kraków going back to 2011 with forecasts for 2021. It's also the European Green Capital, the title awarded to Kraków in 2020. You can see the statistics for green areas. This particular green area, it looks like Croatia, doesn't it? But it's situated 2 kilometers away from the Wawel Royal Castle. It's a limestone pit historically. World cuisine, 792 cafes and restaurants in the city centre, 25 restaurants recommended by Michelin, with one with a star from Michelin, and 10 local products protected under the EU law. Accommodation, 179 hotels, as mentioned earlier, just to give you an idea what they look like. #1 regional airport in Poland, Kraków Airport, 23 airlines, 150 direct flights. You can see all the details. 8 million passengers in 2019, going to 4 continents. Event infrastructure. Here's a quick rundown, but you can see the interesting juxtaposition right here at once. This is the ICE Kraków Congress Centre, where we currently have this presentation, situated right next to the Wawel Royal Castle. This is what it looks like on the outside, on the inside, with the audience full. And this is TAURON Kraków, 20,400 participants, possible, 61,000 square meters, 15,000 seats, lots of very popular events, including large concerts and sports events, of course. TAURON Arena again. EXPO Krakow, 13,000 square meters of usable area, 2 halls with a total of 9,000 square meters, 8 meters tall. This is the interior, a very popular site for big fairs, medical fairs, book fairs. And now we'll proceed to some of the more unique venues. This 19th century art gallery right in the heart of Kraków, in the middle of Krakow's main market square. This is the Museum of Polish Aviation, also a very popular venue for organizing events. Museum of Japanese Art, called Manga, again with a view to the Wawel Royal Hill, making it very popular for this reason alone, and other reasons as well. Tyniec Abbey Guest House, roughly 12 kilometers away from the central area in Kraków, but it's a beautiful abbey, the oldest abbey in Poland. A lot of tourists know this particular destination, the royal salt mines of Wieliczka. Everyone writes and talks about those. Definitely worth a visit, but also a very interesting site if you want a unique event. Old Depot de Silva, central, quite close in the Kazimierz district. And a few words in conclusion about the Małopolska region, a truly mesmerizing region with spa resorts, including Krynica, Muszyna, Wysowa Zdrój, Stawnica, modern spa and wellness resorts, hiking routes, all within 100 kilometers. The important thing I would like to close with is important new ways, means, and ideas are yet to be discovered, ladies and gentlemen, for bringing us closer together again. Thank you very much. Stay safe.